Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment. As usual, guys, I like to take the time to welcome our guests because I know they're coming with a couple of things very expensive. Their time. The time, I keep telling you guys, every one of us have 24 hours. How we utilize that 24 hours are going to tell us a lot about you. The other is the journey. The journey is a powerful creator. It created Dr. George before us, and we want to get into his space, get into his mind, get into the stuff that the journey deposited into him. Those things are wisdom, knowledge, insights. We want to get a chance to extract some of that from him so that we can grow and become better while we are here on this planet. Doc, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
I want to thank you and your audience for the time. It means the world to me and my family and so many who are fighting Parkinson's disease. So I look forward to the discussion.
Thank you so much. As I mentioned to you, this is how I start the conversation. How do you serve mankind? And that is a loaded question. I try to alert my audience that they have to understand that this journey, this time here on this earth, is not just about themselves. It's about others also. We have to learn about who we are, of course. And it affords us the opportunity to be able to give back, as they say. So how do you serve mankind?
Thank you. Before becoming a caregiver for my mother and then today an advocate, I've been an advocate my whole life. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, grew up and really had a passion for helping others. So I decided why not go into the legal field, became a lawyer, worked at the prosecutor's office to try to help victims of crime. I saw a big missing part of the world that there's not enough out there in the criminal justice system for victims. So as a lawyer, unfortunately, there's so many cases, you didn't have time like I wanted to. So I decided to go into police work, did that for still reserve today. Once again, I found you hand a brochure and you have to move on, and that's not really what I wanted. So I finally, luckily, fell into the world of education and did my Ph.D. and dissertation aiding African American mothers who lost their loved one due to murder in West Palm Beach, Florida. So most of my life I've dedicated to the family members of homicide victims. A lot of the time, as you might know, and everyone listening, family, you have a victim, but unfortunately you also have a family. They become victims too, and that's what I've served and really dedicated my life to. And then it brought me to the world of, unfortunately, Parkinson's disease, and hopefully we'll get to that in a moment.
Definitely. We want to get into your journey. One of the things that we do, one of our customs, Doc, is to go back into our childhood. It's the format that we do is just we track our growth. And I tell people we start in our family unit and we have mom and dad there. And some of us have siblings and so forth. But that first arena, that first area, we receive a lot of programs, data, information, some of that stuff based on the culture, the food that we eat, certain mindsets and all those things we began to develop right there, and how we communicate with others as well. What was your family unit like?
Yeah, my parents were divorced, but I wouldn't be the man I am today or have the success if it wasn't for my mother. That's why when it came time to really step up and be her caregiver, it was a challenge, but I was one that I was proud to serve. My mother, she again was a school teacher and had a master's degree, and she sacrificed and gave it all up to raise me and my brother. So it really meant the world to me that she did that. She didn't have to do that. She could have still, worked and done things. We grew up kind of poor, and then my mother met my father. She again left her career so he could become a doctor, and that's where it started to get a little bit better for our family. But it was not easy. Brooklyn, New York. I'm sure you've heard stories. So it's like the movies. Yeah. So thankfully, in a way, it's sad. But my parents got divorced, and I moved to Florida, and that was the start of my whole new life and opportunities. If it wasn't again for my mother's moves and decisions and life, I wouldn't again have had the opportunity today.
Yeah, I'm a Queens boy, Queens Village, man.
We're neighbors.
Yeah. My sister lives in Brooklyn right now. I know she's out there as well. So yeah, we're neighbors, and we did something similar as far as the move. We moved to Florida as well. I moved to Orlando, Florida. So yeah, I know. Yeah, no, Disney World, as they say. As you talked about your mom sacrifice and stuff like that for you guys and your brothers, and what she had done for you. And you also talked about her remarrying and getting your dad, who was a physician and stuff like that, and she making sacrifice there. So here you are watching this powerful individual in the body of your mom, who is always going above and beyond, if you will, and making that sacrifice so that others will be able to gain a better foundation. What impact, Doc, did that make on you as a young man?
She never remarried. She was always kind of independent, lived alone. She basically really, I think, taught me the value of serving others and volunteering in college. I won some awards just for community service, but even in the police field, I'm something called a reserve. So I did it since 2006, but never got paid a dollar or a cent. So some people think that's nuts. Who
Yeah,
would be a cop for free? But again, my favorite part was serving the community during Thanksgiving. We would bring turkeys to the families who needed a needy family. I was able to bring children to see Santa Claus who couldn't afford gifts. I was able to kind of protect individuals during different holidays and parades and things. But I didn't ever want money or ask for it. Even today, I don't do any of this for that. I just think that, like you might agree, we're all here for a purpose, and if we can give back and give some time and effort and even money to others, and it'll just change the world for benefit, for positivity, and you're really kind of giving back. But I never wanted anything back except to help others. And then also, I always think if I just helped one victim of crime in the world,
yeah,
then I've made a difference. And it's the same, I kind of correlate the work with the criminal justice field, sadly, to the Parkinson's community, because about 1 million people have Parkinson's in the US and 10 million throughout the world. But it's a very tough area because we need more awareness and we would find a cure. But right now, there's just not enough. And that's why I kind of honored to be on shows like yours, because we're bringing the topic to the world and to people's mouth, literally. What is Parkinson's disease? And I think that if we did get more individuals understanding it and involved, we can cure it before if it hits their family or their neighborhood. And as you also, I'm sure, know, with a disease like Parkinson's or any disease, it doesn't just affect the person who's diagnosed; it affects the family and the community. And we really need to work hard to get end this disease before it's too late.
yeah. Um, Doc, where did you get that service heart from? Where did you think you picked it up? How old were you when you picked that up?
Probably in college when I got a little freedom. Some kids, no offense, are partying and things. Instead, I actually was president of fraternity, but I was the one really just doing. I don't drink, I don't smoke, never did drugs. Not to mention, nothing wrong with that if people
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it. But I just chose to be more of the person to protect everyone and always try to see ways to get people involved. So student government, other different associations, and just meant a lot to me. I didn't want to just go to school, get a grade, and be done. I wanted to kind of make an impact. I started a lot of organizations in college and just did a lot of volunteering, whether it was sports or recreational, but also trying to bring more, education and community to the college. So I think it might have started in college, but it continued because I guess right now I'm very different. I used to be very social. Now I kind of like to do my own thing, be kind of quiet. But when you do Parkinson's awareness, you're putting yourself out there. And I don't have Parkinson's disease. I'm no longer a caregiver of someone alive with it, but I feel there's like millions and millions of people who lost a loved one due to the disease. And
Hmm.
sadly, in society, I feel like the door kind of closes when your loved one passes. But I kicked it open and want people to know that my mother still matters and we still have a voice. And I can't bring her back, but we can ensure that no one ever feels alone, and also that other people don't have to battle this disease like my mother and I did. And we felt really,
And Doc, that's one of the things I try to bring to people especially when they're going through some tough times. Caregiver is, I was one, and it takes a lot to become and to do caregiving, man. It takes everything that you are. And all of you guys that are listening that may have just tuned in and you may be familiar with caregivers or so forth, let them know that they're not alone. Try to work with them, take them, their groups out there, make them aware of groups, do some reconnaissance, if you will, for your friend or to help them out. Because when you're in that space and you feel alone, it can mentally drain you physically and all of those different things because you're just there by yourself. And so let them know that you're not alone. If you have to stop by, say hi, whatever, participate, man. As Doc is talking about, become a giver and give time, give a space to that because it's tough going by yourself. And, being that caregiver. So here you are, you're in your teens when you were exposed to servant heart, if you will, and you began to serve. As you began to serve, Doc, I love the fact that you're saying, and this is true servanthood, where you serve and not expect anything. You're doing it from a place of love, respect, and honor. And you just want to make sure that that individual that is before you is able to not be alone or feel alone. As you began to do that, what began to happen to you in your 20s as far as your being your individual person? How did you begin to relate to you, Doc, and how did you begin to relate to others? Because it could be still a tough thing to be giving all the time.
I think it builds character also. I don't want to get too into it, but, in the training for police, they don't like lawyers or trainees. And I was both. So it builds a lot of, you gain like kind of inner strength to never give up. And as like military, I work with the Coast Guard auxiliary, but a lot of professions, they build character, dedication, service, and commitment to others and to the country and to the city. And, you take that oath, you swear to uphold the law, be ethical in many important qualities. So I think I learned a lot of like going through that. I also left things like law firms because they were being unethical. So I always said you want to be able to look in this, yourself in the mirror at the end of the day, and that's what kind of I think differentiates some people from others. Where somebody knowing something bad's going on might stay, but I decided whether it was money or not, I didn't want that to be the path that I went down, so I literally quit one law firm, saw them doing some unethical things in my view, and I was proud of, even though I didn't make any of the money, I just was happier
Yeah.
to not have to be pulled into things like that. So it's in every field. I don't think it's just in law and policing, it's in accounting and everywhere, but it's
Oh,
not as
yeah.
exciting to hear about, unless Denzel watched. If it's Denzel playing the accountant, it's cool. And so I think I learned a lot of that then, but sacrifice is something important, leadership. I also learned things like writing skills, communication to be a better professor. I'm a college professor also, but I also learned public speaking, things like that, which you still learn every day. But a lot of these things you don't learn unless you get involved in college, I think, or somehow have guidance like at a job. But, you just need that one mentor and one role model, and that also changes. I had the honor in law school to have John Anderson. He was an independent but ran for United States president. He was the only independent in history that ran for president. He was my mentor, and I really had opportunity to work with a lot of individuals, even in the political field. I kind of stay away from politics today because it's so
Yeah.
kind of crazy, cuckoo. I got an
Yeah.
opportunity to meet President Bill Clinton. I met with other people who I won't name just because I don't want to get into the politics. And that's the one thing that is, in a way, sad but nice with Parkinson's disease. It's not political. Parkinson doesn't
Yeah.
discriminate, and it could affect anyone, all races, gender, and party line. And I don't know if you're aware, but just 2 or 3 weeks ago, the president finally, for the first time in U.S. history, signed into law the national plan to
That's
end
a.
Parkinson's disease.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's the first legislation, which I'm kind of saddened but shocked that it's the first time in history that they've even ever discussed it at a federal level. So it's kind of exciting. It was spearheaded by the Michael J. Fox Foundation. I had the honor to be a
Yeah.
part of it in Florida and actually interviewed United States Senator Rick Scott on the plan in my show. We started a show which I never thought I'd have that just kind of focuses only on Parkinson's awareness, and it's not always easy because it's I do this all also volunteer. I spend many hours. And I get a lot of people, not a lot, but a few wondering why I even do it. I can't bring my mother back, but I just feel that anytime I see other people struggling or hear inspiring stories, it kind of breaks my heart to see them going through it. And I don't want to stop until we find a cure and I can rest better. Some nights I don't sleep over it, but I don't want to see people kind of struggling with this disease anymore.
Yeah, it's how old were you, Doc, when your mom had the diagnosis as to the Parkinson, and where were you located professionally at the time? Was it an officer? Where were you located when you got the news?
Yeah, I mean, she had it for about 15 years. I didn't really start taking over her life till the last four when we had an issue where, and I don't want to get too into it because we don't have enough time, but we tried everything. So like sitting here today with you, I don't regret anything because it would have been nothing but a cure we could have tried left. But she went for a special program for trial for Parkinson's disease. I think they might have drastically changed her medicine too much, so she came home at 4 a.m. I had to rush over there and I found her moving her furniture out of her home and in fear that there were Nazis in her house that were going to harm her. And I never heard of anything like this before. I knew that we're not having any issues in our,
Yeah,
we were in Florida. But that was the first time I discovered hallucinations and delusions, which aren't spoken about a lot with Parkinson's because not everyone has the same journey and not everyone does get them. It's more towards dementia, so we don't know if she had late onset dementia or just the after effect or side effect of the change of the
of the
medicine.
change. Yeah,
They said we saved her life that night, but that was the decline. The last 4 years were just almost like hell. And it wasn't like my mother anymore. It was sad to see, what her deterioration. But I rushed to the hospital and, they saved her life. But that was again the night that I really took over. It was about 8 years ago. I'm 47 now. So, about 39 at the time, 38. I was still a lawyer and a professor. So I was able to work around helping her, but it was definitely, like you said, a challenge. I mean, we actually wrote a book just recently published 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it's about her journey, and then mine as caregiver, and then today advocate. And I wrote it I didn't really want to write a book, but I wrote it because of two things. Number one, and I always say, challenge everyone to show me if I was wrong. But if you look on Amazon, there's not one book from a son to his mother who he lost due to Parkinson's in the world, which is kind of sad in a way. I wish we had.
yeah,
I like Hobbit. And then number two, the last year of her life, I kept a journal, literally pinpointing dates and timestamp of what it was like to
yeah.
be a caregiver. And that was, tough to talk about. So I figured I'd put it in there. If somebody really wants to see it, they can read more now. I put a lot of time and money into getting it out because I couldn't find a publisher because not a lot of people, again, are aware. It's almost like a constant hammer hitting me, but I
Yeah.
don't let that stop me. I always wanted to keep doing things that might be good. And we didn't make a lot. Any money made is donated right back to organizations like the American Parkinson's Disease Association and the Michael J. Fox Foundation and a few others. We started TogetherForSharon.com in my mother's memory. I thought like a few people would see it. We've had over 40,000 people visit the site. And again, everything's completely free. I don't accept money. I always joke and say, please don't send me money because then I have to send it back. So now I'm paying you not to send me money. But, it kind of goes a lot with your show and your theme because I don't do this for anything except number one, again, I hope people know they're not alone. And number two, it's a huge resource now, TogetherForSharon.com. I interviewed 800 people around the world for awareness, completely free. It's all available free. And just exciting news is in a month, I think, we're releasing our first book of interviews. It'll have 200 interviews. And I'm trying to figure out how to do an ebook completely free. And I think it'll be important for awareness because I want people to be able to pick up either physically or online. And now it's free right now on the website
Yeah.
if you click interviews. But I want them to see other people are going through this and they're still fighting. They're doing things like exercise, which can slow the progression. There's medical doctors. There's just an array of individuals who are out there around the world, not just the U.S., who are, a family in this fight. And that's what I want the message to be.
That is awesome. We're going to provide all that to Doc so that they can get access to it
Appreciate it.
to help because the fact that you were mindful enough, Doc, to write and keep a detailed log of the caregiver's process and progress and that type of thing is going to be, I'm sure, helpful to some of those. Because, like I said, when I was there taking care of my parents as a caregiver, there are good days and there are bad days. And you have to learn how to manage them all. There are times that that if I thought about it long enough, I could have gone into serious depression. So there's this emotional roller coaster that you're on because you're looking at someone that you absolutely love. And in most cases, there's nothing you can do, but yet you have to be there, and it keeps you humble and broken at the same time. As you were there, Doc, and you said you were keeping notes, and guys, you can get his books because again, he has detailed notes on that process. Talk about some of those good days and bad days that you were having there, because like I said, we're still human, taking care of someone that we love.
Yeah, I used to read as part of the book, but I got too sad, so I stopped reading. But the good thing, the one thing I do want to make sure everyone is aware is there's a lot of light from the darkness. I've had the great opportunity to meet amazing people like you and your audience, other people fighting the disease. Just the other week, 4 gentlemen rowed in a boat around the whole world for awareness and raised $40 million to hope for a cure and research. There are like those are the kind of stories that keep me going, and the days like you said where I feel like a truck drove over me because I'm working, I'm doing these shows, I have my own show, and my wife and family. I have 3 children. It's not easy to juggle, but I think that at the end of the day, we never know how much time we have. I want to kind
Yeah.
of leave a note in the world that no one's ever alone, and I hope we don't have to keep doing this. I hope we find a cure, and then I can, I'll keep it up there, but I don't have to put the hours I'm putting in. But those days were not easy. We went through,
Excuse
sadness,
me.
sometimes a little joy, went through, tears, anger.
Yeah.
My mother went through it too, because, the problem with Parkinson's is still so kind of new, the research, and many doctors in the profession, like 15, say you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it. But my mother had
Yeah.
no other medical issues, and she was only 69. And in my weird brain, I feel like in 2024, we should be living to 85 or 90,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least. So we were like, as I was sitting there, I'm like, in my brain, it's like, this is not the end. I'm going to find something. But we tried everything from medical issues, doctors, to even getting the medical marijuana license, which didn't help her much for pain. We even
Yeah.
tried, from, you name it, from physical therapy to music therapy to occupational therapy to, all this stuff. It just didn't work. And she just kept getting worse and worse and worse till she passed out oddly on 1/1/2020, and in a way, she missed COVID, thankfully, because I think that would have been another disaster for her.
Yeah. My dad died of complications from COVID.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so that was a devastating thing as well. I had my dad and my uncle both died of complications from COVID. So yeah, the
We
caregiver
send
route, man.
we
Go
we
ahead.
send our love to you. Yeah, we send our love to you and your family too, and everybody out there who are lost or still fighting. A year ago I decided it's not just about me, and that's when I decided to interview 800 people from
Yeah,
Africa to England to Spain to Italy. I mean, Parkinson doesn't discriminate. But now recently, if you go to TogetherForSharon.com and click interviews, I've been covering other diseases and illnesses from cancer to ALS to dementia to Alzheimer's, because I wish, I would dream of having a cure for all of them. It just happens that Parkinson's is the one that hit us the hardest.
yeah. I worked in a skilled nursing facility in Florida, and I had an opportunity to visit some of the centers and locations that dealt with Parkinson, and it's an interesting thing to deal with, and because my dad started to exhibit some of those things as well earlier. But it was really funny about my dad, Doc. I was in a class studying dementia, and as they were talking about dementia and Parkinson and stuff like that, both of the classes, I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is my father, this is my father, this is my father, and this was before the full onset of all those things that were creeping up. But I knew that was my dad. And I remember I came to dad and I said, "Hey, dad, I think you may need to do some tests and some stuff and whatever. And he wouldn't do it. And it was later on when
Yeah,
it was full blown that he agreed to it. But I told him, I said, the preventative piece at the time that we had was lost, so we just have to now manage it. So yeah,
that's what
go ahead.
that's what I wonder is, again, I think she didn't tell me about it for 7 years because she wasn't
Yeah,
sure what it was, but we don't know if misdiagnosis, late diagnosis, there's so many things. That's why we need more awareness, because if we can help people understand and they need to seek out medical help, I'm not a medical doctor, they
yeah,
need to, see their doctor, maybe it can help them slow the progression. Because they have proof, evidence, research that, dance, sports, exercise, anything, these things, and diet are really big to slow the progression. Now, that doesn't cure it, but at least you can definitely
yeah.
still function. And I don't know how much you want me to get into it, but there are actually 5 stages, I believe, of Parkinson's. And
Please, yeah, let's talk, Doc. Let's talk
the
because
first
the thing is about helping those that are in that space. So yeah, let's talk about it. Those 5 stages.
Yeah, a lot of people kind of think of Michael J. Fox, who I had the honor to meet with. He has more external tremors. Some people don't have tremors; they have internal or no tremors. So it's not always. There's a lot of misconceptions. It's also not an elderly man disease. It's a young onset. He had it in his 30s. People can get
Mm-hmm.
it. Female, male, doesn't again discriminate. But the first stage is usually where you'll see some tremors, rigidity, and it's called bradykinesia, which you'll know a lot more than me. And then you have a little difficulties, but not something that'll stop you from being independent, like my mother who lived on her own. Stage two, now they start to become a little worse, like difficulty walking, and there's even some cases poor posture, but again, you can still live independent. And that's what I think the first 7 years must have been like with my mother. Unfortunately, when it hits stage three, that's where you start having loss of balance. Eating, bathing, and dressing start becoming impaired. So that's really the third stage. It's the last cutoff where someone can be living alone. Stage four is tough. It's where independent living is literally impossible, and you might need assistance or you could fall, and that's what I didn't want. And the fifth stage is what happened the last year with my mother. She went from her last 4 years, she walked several miles a week. So the last 4 years, 2 years of a cane, a year of a walker, then wheelchair, and then bedbound. All in 4 years. I'm still kind of baffled as to what happened. But stage five is the final one, where now you see the delusions and hallucination, loss of smell. Constipation was a major, major problem that a lot of people don't want to talk about. Also, poor reasoning and memory, weight loss,
Yeah,
sleep disturbance, and finally, vision problems. So you can see the array of issues that can occur. And, we never really have a lot of time to get into all of them, but at least that's a general thing. And then finally, they do not know what causes Parkinson's. They don't think it's hereditary, but that could be argued. I feel and agree with some of the experts that it's the environment. A lot of the pesticides used at our supermarkets we're not really aware of. Also,
yeah,
the pesticides used at our home. My mother had a nice home, but she had mold and termites, and they treated it for that. And who knows back then the poisons they used. Today, the pesticides people won't even come in our home. They only do external spray. So you can see there's definitely something majorly wrong with the bug companies and even our government, who right now there's a thing called paraquat, which is banned in China, but we don't ban it in the U.S. for some odd reason, which I won't get into. So, we still have a long way to go. I
yeah,
think the number one way people can get involved is reach out to your political parties, your representatives, and urge them to, ban paraquat, ban all these horrible pesticides and what they put on our food. It's not that hard to do that, just it takes a few seconds of your time. And also, you can go to the website and look for resources in your own communities. It's definitely groups like the Parkinson's Foundation, the American Parkinson's Disease Association, who hold walks, virtual and live, which we attend every year. And it's amazing because the whole community, I love virtual because we get to meet,
yeah,
but being there live is something even more special.
yeah. We used to do it in Vero Beach area annually as well, and to be a part of the community, to be able to give back. I'm telling you guys, when you become a giver and you begin to step out of your own world and your own stuff, there's a certain degree of joy that one receives as a result of stepping in and watching others and helping each other. The camaraderie is really, really deep and strong because you kind of rely on each other to help each other out when it gets tough, because we all know as caregivers that it's going to get tough. It's not like it's not going to. We just know that, and we try to always be there for each other. We had a bunch of us that were in the Vero Beach and Sebastian area that kind of supported each other. So here you are, Doc. You're stepping out. You got the book, and maybe you were chosen to go through to be the first son that wrote about his mom, man, because there was none out there. So you got a chance to fill that void that was lacking. So sometimes I tell people, we are picked, we're chosen to go through certain things because there's a need at the end of it. And we were trusted enough to go through it and provide the data for the ones coming behind. And you were very meticulous in your keeping of data, especially when it came to that of the caregiver piece, because the caregiver piece is a different world, man. I don't even know how to even begin to talk about it because it is such a different world, and it is taxing on all that is a part of it. And so, you guys, if you have friends that are caregivers, please support them. Get out there and just bring some food, bring some stuff, just go hang out, whatever, man. Go chat with them for a little while so that they'll have someone to engage with while they're struggling with the situation that they're in. So, Doc, you've seen you've met presidents. Your journey has taken you all over the place, and your desire to see this eradicated off of the planet. And I'm sure the fact that the president signing that, bringing into play the federal government, is going to bring some more support, if you will, towards trying to locate and find a lot more money into getting or finding a cure. Today, as to how would you should suggest to someone that's listening to us to get involved within the community? What is it you think that is the best need for them to do it? Because some people might go, "Oh, I want to do something," but we're here to help them out. What's your suggestion to that individual?
Yeah, the sad thing with COVID is what we've lost in our lives, our families, and affected our children. But the positive, you have to look at everything with some positive,
Oh
was
yeah,
that we all went virtual. Like now, we wouldn't have this opportunity. But today, you can actually, if you have Parkinson's or a family, a caregiver, you could actually attend these events from home. So it's like there's really no excuse. You can actually join like yoga, mediation. There's some not mediation, meditation. I'm also a lawyer, and so there's so many programs and things now virtual. You could see our show and learn so much from experts and people going through the diagnosis. I had one show and the young woman came out on the show and said she's now wheelchair bound, which is, that's like a tough moment, but one that needs to be shared to see, what the progression can do. And she's still fighting. So it's really inspiring, a lot of it. But anyone listening can go to the website. If you click about me, you'll learn more about us, and you can order the book. The book has can answer much more than I can just due to time, but it also gives resources, websites, different organizations. If you go to TogetherForSharon.com, this donation page, but these six, I think, or 4 or 5 organizations that were so amazing. They created links in memory of my mother. So if you donate, it actually goes to those like Michael J. Fox Foundation. None of it goes to us on purpose. So there's a lot of ways to donate, to get involved, to even start your own support group. There's support groups, or we have one for free once a month for anyone who lost a loved one due to any disease, where we meet like this, but it's not recorded. It's confidential, so it's nice to meet other people so you don't feel alone. There's a lot of things that just now it's all at one spot. When I was going through this, I knew there was some things out there, but I was so busy and confused, I couldn't find any of them. And also, some of the organizations aren't in, our local area in South Florida, but there are others. So you have to just, be aware of the things out there. And I think the number one thing is to reach out. If you don't try and do some research, you might feel even more alone. I didn't have the time going through it to do it. I wish I had a book like this, when I was going through
yeah.
it. I do have one little message. I don't know if we're wrapping up. I wanted to share.
No. Go ahead. Share. Talk, Doc.
This is for you and for all the audience, but we love you, we support you, we care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with the amazing host Ken here, will advocate for you, and together I feel our voices are so much stronger. I know he's kind of joking away and say I'm just getting started because every day I want to give up or maybe I'm just too busy. Like you said, everyone has things going on. But then I see that person still fighting Parkinson's or those amazing people rolling around the world making a difference, and that's what keeps me kind of motivated to keep pushing forward. And I'm just honored again for your friendship, your time, and your audience, and I'm always available. If you go to TogetherForSharon.com and scroll down a little, you see like a Christmas tree. It's a tree link. If you click it, you can add me on every social media. I don't know why I'm on 7 of them, and then I'll add you right back because it's just me. We're not a foundation on purpose. I do this just because I want to help people, and I'll answer everyone's questions anytime. I try to get back quickly, and always open to ideas and working with other people as well.
For those who are listening, we're going to provide all of this stuff for Doc for you guys to get access to him because it's important. Um, and both he and I know the cost, if you will, for those that are caregivers. We know what it takes. We know how hard it is. We know how good it is. Those good days were good and those bad days were bad. But we know the sacrifice that our mom or the loved one that made for us. And so we were honored to be able to make that sacrifice as well. But it gets a little tough, and so we want to support you. We want to be there for you. I have my links too. You guys could touch me, base with me, but I'm going to direct you straight back to the doc because he has a little more data than I would. And so, but we are here for you. I want to let you guys know that you're not on your own. Don't ever think that, because when you begin to think like that, that's when those thoughts that come in, those dark thoughts that make you make decisions that are life-changing, and we don't want that. We want you to know that we want to be a part of your world, and we want to be able to help you to move through your pain because we know it is painful at that location, and it's okay. Doc made it. I made it. Many of those folks that he interviewed, they make it. They're making it. So you have a team, a very robust team that is supporting you and want to be there for you. So we're going to put all of that together for you guys to get to Doc. Doc, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment. This has been good because we are beginning, and I'm so glad, like I said, and like you said, the federal government is now a partner within this space, which will give us a little more attention, I guess, on it, whereas just a few organizations around the world, but bringing in the United States government into the mix is going to open bigger doors and stuff like that. And hopefully we could get this thing solved within the next couple.
I appreciate it and agree. The big thing, though, is everyone should still reach out to their politicians and their representatives, city, local, state, federal. I've done policy and I've worked in politics, so I know that just because a bill passes doesn't mean it's going to go anywhere. And I think it's up to all of us listening to still take action and make sure to be on top of our representatives to implement it. I think implementing might be even worse than, just passing it. Hopefully, I'm really curious in the next few years to see. It won't help us and my family, but it will help so many. And I'm going to ask those individuals, has this helped? So it'll be interesting to next few 5 to 10 years to see what happens.
Well, let me ask you something, Doc. Since the federal government is coming into the game, and Doc has said, and make sure you do call your politicians because that's how you get things done, man. You stay on the phone with these guys, and they'll be able to. You'd be amazed how your voice really matters, and you can do things with the federal government coming in.
If it doesn't, vote them out. That's what I say.
There you go. With the federal government coming in, do you think they're going to be more strict looking into those chemical pieces and that you're talking about banning and maybe doing some studies there or whatever, however they attack that? Do you think that the force or the weight of the federal government would be able to get these things off the market faster?
Yeah, they could, but I think this bill might be more towards research to find a cure. So I don't
Yeah,
know if it's going to be geared more to that. They are, I mean, they just had a vote, I believe, recently, and it didn't go through to ban
yeah,
some of these people. So that's a different, I guess, world, and we know that there's a lot of more things involved that I won't comment on. But it's not dealing with Parkinson's as to who gets what or why or how it's pushed through, but it's really sad to know that there's even China's banning things that are poison to their people, but we're okay with it. So something that also this not to get lengthy, but this case is going on now with Camp Lejeune, which was a famous military
mm-hmm,
base where
yeah,
they had the water
the water,
chemicals.
yeah,
It wasn't just people, the military, it was the families all getting things like Parkinson's and dementia and horrible, and that's literally linked to the environment. So you can see, and that's where the government needs to step in. It'll be interesting again. It's up to the people, though. If they don't say
yeah,
anything, do much, it's not going to go anywhere. And like I said, it's. I mean, I won't get to names. One senator was in heaven, like literal heaven, came on my show, and the other one, you could figure out who it is, but they didn't even think that Parkinson's was a big problem, which is heartbreaking. So I won't be voting for one, and I will be voting for the other. But it's people have priorities. But when my mother lost her life due to Parkinson's, it matters to me and to the million people and the 10 million who lost loved ones, and then the other 20, 30 million
yeah,
communities. And so it is a big deal. It's not something that should be kind of brushed to the side. And it's kind of sad when you do hear a politician, not even concerned, taking a call or even wanting to come on a show for 5 minutes of their time. It says a lot about that. I don't know if it's the person's fault or their staff, but they need to take a re-look at what they're doing, and that's how we can voice our opinions and things through our vote.
I absolutely agree. Again, Doc, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
I really appreciate it. And again, I think this is a conversation that needs to continue. I know when we get the link in the show, we'll be sharing it on our page and throughout the world. But my goal is to share it more than once, every few months, every year, because till we find a cure, we have to keep this conversation. So I urge everyone to support Ken and the show, and also share this as much as you can, because I'm only one person and one voice and one son who lost his best friend, his mother, due to Parkinson. But there's so many others out there that just don't have a voice or might not know how to speak up. So I'll help do it for them, and we need all of your help too. So thank you again.
You're welcome, sir. Thanks, Doc. Man.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.